Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order of the East Granby Board of Finance at 7:02 p.m. Let's see, in attendance, we have Mr. Heck, Mr. Malloy, Mr. K.
Mr. K.
Todd.
Mr. K.
Mr. K. I didn't want to mispronounce.
How do you pronounce it?
Krzyzewski.
Yeah.
I see Todd Zessen on Zoom. So I think Paul will be a voting member tonight, since we don't have 6. All right. And Kelly is online taking minutes. Is that right?
Sure. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. All right. So first item of business is public comment. Is there any public comment about items on the agenda? All right.
Let me just make sure. There's a bunch of people online. Let me see. Anything?
All right. Are there any additions to the agenda? Not sure if this is an addition. We got a late ad today about a fire apparatus. I'm going to want to table it anyway. I don't think we had enough time to.
Yeah, so I talked to Troy this morning too, and he just, I had mentioned how they were going to come with something I had mentioned to you. So they basically wanted just you guys to kind of see it, digest it, know what was on this, the study. It would have to go before Board of Selectmen anyways, and then back here.
Right.
It's one of those things, so the fire study said 2030 they would need it, and we're like, it's 4 years away, but I guess it takes that long to order it and get it. So they just wanted it on a radar.
Okay, so this will show up in another meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
They'll come to a meeting too when you actually discuss it. So.
Any additions? I already asked that. Okay. Acceptance of the September 16th meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Let's see, communication and correspondence. Couple things. I had some conversation with the Selectman's office and with Attorney Derek Donnelly, who may be on this.
He is on Zoom.
In a few minutes, just regarding the MDC meeting from 2 weeks ago now. Also heard from the Board of Ed. We provided a representative for contract negotiations, which is Mike, and talked through.
Yeah, I tried to attend last night, but you guys were, I'll be there tomorrow. The Zoom didn't work so well.
Yeah.
All right, and that was it. Is there any correspondence or communication anybody has or needs to report on? Okay, old business. The first old business item is the just update on the sewer pump, sewer fund, that whole thing, and is Derek going to do
Derek's
that?
going to give the update.
Yes, I am. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. For those of you who don't know me, Derek Donnelly. I was, at one point in my life, the town attorney for East Granby, and I've been brought in by the first selectman to assist with this sort of challenging situation with the MDC. So, I just wanted to provide an update. So you'll recall that, not to go too far back in history here, but you'll recall that previously the MDC and East Granby had an uncalibrated meter at meter pit 5. The readings were all over the place, and in a meeting earlier this year in April, the MDC agreed to take estimated usage and use that to calculate a bill, as opposed to actual readings, because the actual readings appeared to be the counter essentially was turning over, and they were thus using an algorithm to calculate what the wastewater charges actually were. So, that was a benefit to put some actual estimated payments in. We had a little more stability there in what those amounts were going to be. But then we came back to the town, and with the real takeaway from that meeting which was that meter pit 5's meter really needed to be replaced. And that's nothing new. That's an issue that's been around for quite a long time, and nobody here sort of caused that problem, but unfortunately we're all here having to deal with it. The town did replace the meter in meter pit 5. That was done and went on the line in July, and since July we've had actual readings of wastewater usage that are shared electronically, automatically to the MDC. It gives real data to the town in real time, and it's been a significant upgrade and improvement to all of these challenging issues. We agreed in April with the MDC that we would come back to them in about 6 months. That let us get a little further in the I&I study, which you'll recall was about what sort of infiltration was going on into the system to get some additional calculations. We did have that meeting on October 8th with the MDC, and the takeaways from that were that the MDC, first of all, agreed to bill us in the future based on actual readings, which is probably not surprising. But they also agreed that they would provide a credit back to the town against the estimated payments based on the actual usage going back to May. So real readings from July moving forward, and then we're still working out exactly how we're going to calculate the June and May numbers for a credit. But the net result will be at least a $39,000 payment, or a credit rather, back to East Granby. We anticipate that going up as well when we finalize how we're doing June and May. But at least for right now, we have two, I think, very big wins. And credit to the first select woman who was able to negotiate this during a challenging meeting. But we have two big takeaways, and that's that, one, we're getting the credit back to the town. That's money that's already been paid, and that will go against future bills. So we're going to save a little money in the future. And then moving forward, we'll have actual readings that will be used to present the bill from the MDC. So we'll have a much more accurate and I think consistent way of moving forward here. So, look, I mean, we're operating off of a contract that was written in the late 80s, early 90s with the MDC. There's a lot to do here and a lot for the Board of Finance to consider moving forward, a lot for the WPCA to consider, the Board of Selectmen consider, and quite frankly, the town at large about how it wants to address its future wastewater needs. And I think there's a lot of options. I did talk to your chairman a little bit today about those, and we can certainly get into that. But for right now, we've made some significant progress, and I think we're in a much better place when we were, I think, when I last talked to you back in, I believe it was May.
All right.
Derek, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Question for you. Do you have numbers, or are we just talking you said there, let me just back up. They want to recalculate from May for the 6 months that we metered and proved it was less. they are agreeing to recalculate those bills? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so it's a little bit kind of difficult to sort of hash out the difference between what we were talking about before versus what we're talking about now that the new meter is installed. The new meter is actually measuring the wastewater that goes from the connections in East Granby into the MDC system.
I can tell you about what we should actually be paying. Correct?
Yes, that's what we'll actually be. That's what we're actually paying. That's what we're actually using.
Keep going.
Yep. So what we were talking about previously was that as part of the I&I study, the entire system had temporary meters that were installed upwards from some of the actual meter pits and throughout the system to see what sort of flow was in the system. And while those numbers should be close, those numbers are also going to include things like rainwater and stormwater that's going in there, in addition to actual sewer flow. So what we had previously was enough information to tell them that, hey, look, your numbers are so far askew from just the total flow numbers that would include rainwater, that they can't possibly be accurate. And based on those flow numbers that we had from the I&I study, they agreed to take estimated payments which were significantly lower than the bills that they had previously been charging.
Stop for a second, because this is really going to be hard for people to understand. And I just want to clarify a few things so that we don't have to go over this 10 times. I&I established the flow was nowhere near what would cause the inflated numbers. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, let's explain that real quickly. That's just checking to see if there was some intrusion into the line, pumping water into the line that we were being billed for by accident, basically, or there was damage to the line, correct?
The I&I study was studying that, but not the
Well, I'm going to get to that.
But
Yeah.
hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So the temporary meters are going to capture everything, right? So it would capture, yes, what was flowing into the system as well as sewer water.
Right.
And what we were able to do is take the I&I study and say, okay, and I'm just using round numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I'm not a wastewater expert here. But the best way to explain this is they were charging us for 15, and we were showing, based on the I&I study, the temporary meters, more like 4. Okay. So
can I just, and I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but I just want to make sure because it gets lost in the words. You established through the I&I study that they were charging us for 15 based on the old the reading that was woefully inflated, correct?
We established that what they were charging was inflated. Yes.
Okay. By a
Factor of
almost 4. Right?
No. I just, like I said,
we're not gonna, okay. It's not going to matter the exact 4.27, whatever. So we went to them and we were able to negotiate a lower payment for the last 6 months based on that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead now. Now we've done a real total wastewater flow, okay, going into their system. We're capturing the total flow at this point, right? With the new meter we put in?
Yes.
That's the one where we established, how does that relate? So it's even lower than the I&I. So now we're down maybe, I'm going to just, it doesn't matter, say 3 to 16, right? And we just negotiated, and they agreed to pay us $39,000, because we're going to need to see some real numbers here, because this $39,000, when we're looking at a number on our spreadsheet of 1.6 million in deficit, sounds like nothing to me, okay? So what I want to know, I guess, going forward is a couple things. So they agreed to pay us $39,000. Have they offered to pay us anything for the period of time that they overcharged us exponentially?
No, because we had a broken meter that the town never fixed.
So, but logically, you can prove there's no I&I.
I think that
Okay. There's no excessive I&I. our flow actual readings now are a fraction of what they were billing us for an extended period of time. And they have not offered to reimburse us anything for that, for the 1.6 million that was, or whatever. I'm not, numbers, it's more just, we go with fractions now. For the period of time we were paying almost 4 times what we were actually dumping into their system. They have offered us nothing to reimburse us for that at this point.
At this point, yes. But the other part of this coin is,
What's the yes? What's the figure?
hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You have a contract that goes back decades that that allows them to charge you this way. So what that meeting on October 8th was about what we were able to negotiate in April, which was estimated payments and then getting us back the money based on the estimated payments that we could prove from that period of time was actual. So anything before May, as far as I'm concerned, is still on the table to some degree, but you are always going to be stuck against a contract that was ill-advised and poorly written and in place for decades without renegotiation.
We're dealing with a government agency of sorts, right? I mean, these are appointed people. They have some accountability to be fair at some level. Okay, it's not just like, this isn't the mob. It's not like, oh, we got your money, we're not going to give it back now. We shouldn't be considering taking it the next step legally if that, and I'm jumping ahead. I mean, maybe cooler heads prevail and they come to some conclusion that, hey, we ripped them off of almost $1 million. Maybe we should give them something back, right? But short of that, what is your thinking on where we go from here if they do not come to that conclusion? I don't what you say about the contract.
Yeah, I don't think, at no point did I say that other things shouldn't be considered, right?
Okay.
I don't think it's appropriate for that discussion to occur in the Board of Finance. The decision to pursue anything from a legal standpoint would be a decision of the Board of Selectmen. I mean, certainly I think it's important that the Board of Finance have some input into that. But there are some very serious contractual terms that people need to be very thoughtful about before going down that road. So I don't think it's really prudent to have those discussions in public. And a lot of that is going to fall into, attorney-client conversation, and certainly I don't want to overstep my role here as where I'm participating in a limited manner and I'm not the town attorney. So I'll stop short of getting into all of that. But what I would say, and I think I've said this to you before, Mike, there's a much bigger picture here that has been kicked down the road by the powers that be for decades. And it's how is East Granby going to get rid of or is going to deal with their sewer water that's connected to a system. And what I said to the chairman today, and I say again now, is that I think it would be prudent for some real conversations to happen between the Board of Finance, between the WPCA, and between the Board of Selectmen about where you want to go in the future with this. And whether you want to run your own system, whether you want to be a part of the MDC, whether you want to look for some regional cooperative partner to assist you with your system and your wastewater needs, and based on those conversations, develop a real plan about moving forward, about the costs associated with it, with the benefits associated with it, and also with the potential detriment to the town, and make a informed decision utilizing all partners here and decide and move forward accordingly. Because I think part of the problem is you're locked into this MDC contract. There may be other options available, but the town is in a much different place than it was when you entered this contract. You are not an MDC town, so you do not have the power that the MDC MDC towns do, and you don't have the clout on their board and all of those things that make it very, very difficult to to do many of the things that you're talking about without a lot of time and cost and those sorts of things. So, I think the takeaway from tonight again is, look, there's a lot of years of problems to deal with, right? But what we know is from April onward, we've got the town in a much better position than it was previously. And, hats off to all of you who approved the financing of the meter pit to the Board of Selectmen, the WPCA, to get that new meter in, because quite frankly, that should have been done 15 years ago.
There was a backup meter pit there too that they took out. It's a completely different conversation. But Derek, there's always issues we have to deal with, right? There's always new issues, old issues. It's the evolution. If we were being billed properly or we're getting a proper bill and we know what the bill is, it really wasn't a huge problem, Derek, over the years. And it's only with the errant bill that came in that was completely off the chart that it threw the whole fund into disarray. Up until then, it was pay in, pay out. Okay.
No, there was a $590-something thousand deficit when I started.
Well, that
was estimated reading.
But they started building.
Those weren't even the inflated bills. But right.
We can debate the numbers.
Well, I want to correct the misinformation.
The issue has existed, and I get that. My point is not with the town. It's not with you, Derek. It's with the MDC overcharging in excess of $1 million based on raw numbers. And we need to kind of hold them accountable for that, because it's not like this system didn't work for decades.
The meter was broken, though. The meter that we were supposed to have fixed.
But they took a meter out. There was meter 2. Meter pit 2 was the backup that was supposed to read off that. That's the way it was explained when we had our meeting. And they removed that. So there is some, I'm not going to argue the legality of this whole thing right here. What I'm going to say is there was a dramatic overcharge, and there needs to be some accountability for that. And it is a government agency that is answerable to other people. So if we can have a fair conversation with them and we can be transparent about it, I think we can get somewhere. But walking away from $1 million is not. And to your point, there's a lot more to be talked about. I just wanted to get that on the record, that we shouldn't be rolling over for those guys just because we have a bad contract. The contract is older than most of the people that work there, or since they worked there. So anyway, thank you. I'll stop.
Other questions for Derek? Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, thank you. And just one thing in closing, I don't think anyone, I'm certainly not suggesting that anything be walked away from. I'm suggesting you were looking at a much better situation today than you were looking at in May. And I think that is my takeaway from this evening. Are there more questions? Are there more things to do? Absolutely.
One thing we can probably see if we can engage with the Board of Selectmen and WPCA and just have that conversation where we go from here. Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, do you need me at all anymore?
Never. No, we're done. We're done. Yeah, we don't need
Perfect. I'm going to pop on that other meeting. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. 6B is status of the FY25 audit. Kelly, I don't know if there's any appreciable status since last month.
So the auditors did finalize all the field work and, had some follow-up questions and such. So I anticipate some preliminary drafts in the coming weeks.
Thanks. Any questions for Kelly about the audit? All right. The first draft of the 2026 meeting calendar. I think we should table it. There's no change since last month. Nicole's still waiting to work through the public hearing and town meeting schedule. So if those aren't set for next meeting, we'll then just publish our calendars as we know and have to deal with, scheduling special meetings. All right, review prioritization, new business 7A, review prioritization of 5-year capital infrastructure plans. So those prioritizations came separately from the agenda.
Did you guys grab a copy?
There's copies there.
If you want to grab a mic, just pass. I can pass it down. That might be easier.
The Board of Ed one came today as well.
Always easier when they're in color.
So before we jump into the prioritization, let me just going to walk you through a couple of changes in the capital plan that got sent out with the materials. First of all, it had not been trued up fully with the pre-audit treasurer's report. So a couple things to note. The closed account for the middle high school HVAC, we actually had received maybe 2/3 of that money. You may recall there was about a 360,000 roughly amount that we were getting reimbursed. We got 286 of it, so that shows up as last year's revenue, and we expect the remainder this year. Interest was higher. We were showing the budget amount of 20,000. We actually had 68,000 in interest, so that was good. So I think that was it. So the net of that was we had a little bit more revenue than was previously shown, which is good news. And then just a reminder on the capital plan. As you read that, kind of in the center, we have the 25-26 columns for plan and actual. All the actuals are 0 right now. So the July 1st balance is $1,000,001. And we added 350,000 from the budget transfer. So we have a decent balance in there. We have about 1.6 after the budget transfer and our plan for the closed account and the interest. Also updated, you recall I was on Zoom last time, so I had a little bit dated general government request, so that the increase is now shown at least at the request of it. And you can see the red numbers those are just amounts I subbed in terms of what I thought we could afford. And then finally, there's a row on that capital plan that speaks to there's the ending balance, which this plan shows the ending balance being at 738,000 and change. And our policy wants it to be 728. So anything north of 728 at least meets our policy. I also always try to look at the out years and, make sure, are we trying to hit policy, but then next year we've created a crater. It doesn't appear that way at all. It looks fairly healthy, provided that we return to a $600,000 increase, transfer in fiscal 27. Which would be flat to last year, and then bump that up to 700,000 in the subsequent year. So we're the balance is tracking to the requests, with the asterisk that there's some big items in there, like the town-wide siren, I recall, the middle school roof. Some of those are asterisk out, almost $3 million, but those wouldn't show up in the capital plan anyway. So questions, first of all, just about the the plan and reading that and understanding where that puts us. Okay. All right, so then what we want to do with the plan is we have the prioritized list. Soon we take the 2.1 million off the Board of Ed item because it's really not a capital plan. We still got to come up with about 150,000 that gets us right at the policy amount. So my read of it is, when I look at the Board of Ed amount, it looks like a relatively low amount. It's kind of in line with what past years have been. They were a little lower last year, quite a bit lower last year. But I think we can, I don't know that we have to move too much on the Board of Ed line. Well, open, have discussions.
They're fitting within what we expected,
Yeah, exactly.
regardless of what the individual items are.
I did some math. So I did some math towards that end. If we were going to cut everything from general government, it'd be items 8 through 13. So that might be a starting place. Like if we look at 8 through 13, can we really do that? Or do we need to balance it a little bit with the Board of Ed? And then also I'll remind everybody, this is a plan. We're not approving any spending item. Those are all going to come to us individually at some other time. It's just a plan. But any thoughts anybody has as they prepare for this? I guess I have a question on the general government one, and I think it may be because I was on Zoom last meeting and I probably didn't catch the discussion, but the various infrastructure plannings, because as I mentioned, items 8 through 13 would get us to a nice number, but 8 is, I don't know if that's part of a group. That's 30,000 for the construction plan to implement grants on Gateway Boulevard. Are those a package deal? Can you speak to those again?
The, like breaking the 4 of them down or just the $30,000 one?
Well, I guess the 4 of them.
So, School Street, need my glasses. So that's going to, so we're doing the testing. So that's probably going to be needed because we couldn't use the grant for it. The grant that we received to realign School Street, the $3.25 million one. The School Street bid documents is to put it out for construction plans, to hire a contractor. Put out the construction plans. Same with sidewalks. We'd like to extend the sidewalks down 187. So that's getting worked on, but we'll need more money for that. And Gateway Boulevard, we have a developer in town who owns property across the street from Gateway and may need some realigning of that street to fit his needs. Not sure, but we had it on here in case we had to investigate it to help him be able to develop.
So I have a question on that. Why would we foot the bill to help him redevelop?
Yeah, so Gateway Boulevard, it's an actual boulevard. I don't know if you're familiar with a boulevard has like grass that goes down the middle of the two lanes. So it was actually designed that way. It's actually a boulevard, but that's how it was created years and years ago. So it would be to be able to allow to align a light. It would just help economic development in town.
But if he sees a value in developing the land,
Right.
he should be paying.
Yes, we've had several conversations, so it would be like a shared, like we're not paying for that light. So we've had that conversation, but to help maybe move things along.
So, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
So, is this all part of the same project?
No, they're all,
These are all individual? So,
Could any of them be pushed out the next year?
I have a little different question. So, are any of these specific to the grant to redo, like, School Street is obviously part of that large grant, correct?
Yeah.
Reline School Street. So
Right.
that one's kind of a no-brainer. You have to do that.
Yep. That's why I put that one first.
So then construction plans to implement sidewalks, was that School Street bid documents? That obviously is part of that, correct?
Yes, so the sidewalks and Gateway Boulevard are separate.
So those are the two that are separate. The sidewalks is not part of that grant that
It's sidewalks for 187, not
Oh, coming south. Okay, right. I missed that. Okay.
north and south.
Okay, so those two would be different. They're not grant
Right.
related. We're just trying to set up something that we could get a grant possibly for. Okay.
So when you say north, are you talking going towards East Granby Farms?
That's north, and then south is the other way towards the high school.
That would be nice.
And we had to start somewhere, which is why we did around the town campus
That makes
first.
sense.
Yeah.
So 7 and 8 really are for future projects.
Right.
The first two are not shovel happening, not so much shovel ready.
And the revaluation,
So Donna asked us to keep that there. Our assessor asked us to keep it there just for litigation. There's some to pay for attorney fees.
that would be,
They come up in more than her budget allows.
litigation on the recent
Assessment appeals.
one that was completed a couple of years ago.
She's still working with some businesses.
That's a somewhat of a placeholder if you need it.
Right.
Did
Yeah, it's been
businesses
sitting-
benefit from a lower valuation increase than homeowners?
Well, they're fighting their assessed values.
You can still fight, whatever.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to understand the argument for that when the homeowners
What's the problem?
had the burden. Their taxes should have gone down is what I'm saying. They want it to go down even further. And
Well, we're talking like millions.
Big ones.
yes, understood.
Yeah.
They hire people to come in
Yeah,
and look at it
they've hired independent.
and then argue with you
Yeah.
about what it is.
Right.
I have a quick question about number 2. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The police cruiser. I'm looking at the financials right now. We're almost there. $66,000 in the police reserve fund. I guess it's a 2-part question too. Do you think that maybe we could get there by the time we'd have to order the SUV? I know we're only 20 grand off right now with the fund balance as is. And then this might be a question for Lisa. I don't want to get too far into financials too, but I'm just looking at them as I'm looking at the fund balance right now. Why is repairs and maintenance coming out of that fund?
So I'll answer the first question. I had underneath the police SUV, I had taser replacement. I had 45,000 in the plan, and then I pulled it out, and we're going to use the non-lapsing fund for that. And that was the change from last month.
Okay.
What we're referring to as maintenance, Todd. Where'd you see maintenance? I don't see it.
Yeah, other expenses. So there's a couple smaller, even contracted services here, $2,500 and then
So you're in the
$3,500.
treasurer's report?
Yeah, I'm in the treasurer's report, yeah.
Can we come back to that?
Yeah,
We'll stay on the capital.
Yes, yeah, sorry, I just didn't want to, I was just looking at it, so I thought I'd.
I'll go down.
Right. So he wanted to leave a buffer in the non-lapsing fund. So, so he would use 45,000 for the taser replacements, which are like mandated to be replaced at a certain age.
Okay.
For the snow removal machine, you've got a lot more sidewalks. Is that what you're thinking?
I did take out 225,000 though, the street sweeper. So I went back to Public Works. So he's going to not rent one, but he'll subcontract it out.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
And the tasers, I know people, we talked about this last time, that's a large number because they're expensive and there's like 9 or 10 of them that we do.
Yeah. Yep.
We have to cycle through all of them at once. It's not phased in.
So not to be cheap with this, but the police SUV, that's kind of a necessity. That falls in we don't have our previous years. Is that every other year?
85. Yeah. So I took it out of next year and did every other. So basically, Kyle can come and talk about it too, but this cruiser would replace, we have a 2012 cruiser that it would replace. And then the one in 27, 28 would replace the 2016 cruiser. And I guess there's a theory behind it about rotating the vehicles. Each guy gets assigned their own car essentially, and then they're in charge of its own maintenance and things and the scheduling of that. It prevents wear and tear by cycling through the cars and not just having 5, to use or 4 to use.
And that's for a new cruiser, right? Not a used one
That's
like
a
the one
used
we bought.
cruiser.
That's a used one?
And equipped, yep.
Okay. Do we know what vintage that would be? Are we talking a 2020, 21? We're talking.
It's new.
New one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yeah,
Yes.
brand new.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
So like the 2012 one we use now for like road jobs, but like you have to jump start it. So they have to, it's like
And I know
kind of a mess.
2 years ago we bought a used one from Simsbury, was it?
Yeah, that was for, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for the officer who came on.
What about the Park and Rec van?
Yeah, so Park and Rec is here tonight. Welcome. So if you want to talk to the van too, and they're here to talk about the playscape. So I don't know how first you are on the van, but so they did take note of the questions you had asked and are prepared to answer them.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering for GCTV, would you mind standing up here so he can hear you better? Okay. And project, because I don't think there's a microphone over there unless I can give you one. I can give you one. If you talk loud enough. Thanks, Morgan.
Hi,
Perfect.
I'm Morgan. Do I say my address? Or no?
You don't have to.
Town meeting thing? Okay. I'm Morgan, care of Parks and Rec. I watched the meeting previously and saw some of the questions regarding the playscape. And I'm happy to just have a conversation if you have more. I know there was a question related to insurance and changing insurance as a cheaper option in this approach. I just want to clarify that this insurance assessment was not a matter of keeping insurance or not keeping insurance. This is a free assessment given by our insurance company. Okay, louder. A free assessment given to assess our town municipalities' liability risk related to the playscape. And that's what it is. It's not a matter of keeping insurance or not keeping insurance. It's simply, it was a service done, which should be done regularly. Yeah. And so we feel it being a responsibility.
Thank you. So that's what that was. It's not a matter of insurance or not. Does that make sense? Age was asked about from town meeting records. We've deduced that it's probably 37 years old. The last record we have of it dates to 37 years old.
Just to be clear, we're at Granby, right?
Granbrook.
Yeah.
Yep, this is a playscape Granbrook. Yeah, we have our new one in East Granby Farms. Other questions you had? No documented injuries or deaths that we know of. We were asked about grants related to this playscape. Our commission and department is not prepared to take on more grants right now. We have 2 active grants, and just closed a previous grant and fundraising campaign. So that is not necessarily on the table for us at this moment, which is why we're
You
coming
don't
to the
have
town.
the staff to do
Yeah,
it?
the
Okay,
capacity.
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, the capacity.
Just
But
what goes into applying for a grant, how much time or
it's not
now
the
do you need?
yeah. In my experience, it's really not the applying so much as the maintenance of it.
A lot of forms
It's-
and requirements.
It's a lot of forms. It's a lot of reporting. It's a lot of keeping tabs, both pre and after. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that? Grants are a lot of work, rightfully so. You're getting money given to you. But with 2 active ones and having closed up, we fully, grant and fundraise the previous playscape. So that's our opinion on that.
We have any capacity to help, like in other areas of the town, like if a grant were available, somebody in fire or police or something that could help or no?
Help write it, you mean?
Help maintain it. Sounds like writing it.
Yeah, I don't think writing's the issue.
Or do you have to have Park and Rec specialization?
I'm not sure.
So grants you apply for,
Yeah.
okay? You just have to fill out the paperwork properly. It's from the town's point of view. It's town agency, it's town doing it. But then to basically, because we've done them for Granby Community Television, you have to file a report every 3 months or a year, just showing what you did, how you spent it, receipts, all that kind of stuff. That's the tough part that's tough. And when you have a small staff, but anyway,
They just
that's a good
got
question.
done with 2 related.
Yeah, we
grants.
And then 2 active.
Yeah.
Is there somebody else in the treasurer's
Yeah.
office or
Or anywhere.
that could help if they were to?
Yeah, I mean, we do now. So like we helped with the steep grant that for Playscape for the basketball and pickleball courts. For the trails grant, I think we always work together, but yeah. I mean,
I think go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah.
Just the other concern with grants is we have, of course, there's always more in outreaching, but in terms of the close community, we've tapped into a lot of them recently. So Hartford Foundation, I believe, and could be incorrect, that they're on a pause anyways, but they're who we reached out to for our most recent playscape. We also did tap into ARPA funds for that as well. So we have been utilizing, we have our steep grant and our trails grant, right? Like we have currently been utilizing the local community grants.
So I think a combination between maintenance of the grant and perceived availability, it's kind of there, and they have an immediate need. So is that where you're coming from?
yeah. So I have a couple comments. I think the Hartford Foundation is reopening sometime in 2026. I have no idea. Late fall. Yeah, I'm not sure. My other suggestion was the delicate subject of the open space fund, where we have $34,000 sitting in there kind of being held hostage. We tried to get money out of that for the water fountains at Grand Brook, but it was shot down. We have an ordinance that was strictly written to be able to be used for recreation. And it got shut down at the town meeting. But that's another option, is we go back to town meeting and try again to get the 34,000. It's your call if you want to do that, but it's basically sitting there with no one requesting it.
So it's on the capital plan right now. Are you planning on coming forward like next month with a plan, or you just want to make sure it's set aside so if you need it?
We would be prepared to come with a plan. Right. Not like a full, I mean, I guess by plan, I would say we could come with more concrete numbers. We have not gone and gotten quotes yet, per wanting to know what we're playing with. The issues with that, this isn't simply us wanting to go and get a brand new playscape just for the heck of it, although it is old and we've proven that, but it is coming from the liability. And so there are multiple angles we can approach with the playscape to ensure it's less of a liability risk. And we would like to know what kind of funds we're working with and what that approach looks like. If we are continuing to put Band-Aids on, there needs to be things that need to be done, particularly with the ground cover there. The mulch is just not up to code by any means. So we need to put money into it. And if we were able to get a large enough sum that we could do something significant, we think that is the most worth our time at this time.
Well,
regarding the liability piece of it. Did this survey open us up to liability? Because we have a history of no injuries reported, no deaths. That's obviously a good thing. But when somebody comes and says, hey, this is a liability, this is a concern, we have history of other people being injured at other playscapes, now you guys are aware. Does that increase our liability now? Did we open Pandora's box by doing this survey, and now we have to address it faster? That's my big question.
It is, I think that's up to, right, like that's not a hard and fast. We are feeling and have had the conversations that we are aware and therefore need to act. Of course, we were somewhat aware before, which is why we took the necessary steps to bring in the insurance company. That is best practice, and it would probably look just as poor, if you're getting my opinion, to not have any assessments done on our playscape. So I think that either of those would not hold any water. When we had the assessor there, he claimed that this would not hold a lot of water, our playscape, and the state that it's in. Anything to add on that?
Got a lot of information. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks.
I think Todd wants to say something.
Tom?
You wanted me to unmute him.
No, just muted. I don't know how, and I couldn't
Oh,
unmute.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, any other questions for general government on their list? Why don't we, if there's any questions on the Board of Ed, and then we'll work our magic.
I was just wanted to add one more thing too. If you put together something of like what you really want to fix, like how much the ground covering costs, the dangerous pieces of it, maybe came back with some a la carte stuff, folks, maybe. I don't know if that's helpful. And then a brand new one.
It's helpful for us too, because it's one thing to walk in here with a plan and have us rip it apart. It's quite another to have some back and forth prior. And that's kind of our conversation with any board,
I can dream and I can grab something.
Right, because these guys actually come up with some pretty good ideas.
Yeah. Also know that we're coming from a place having just done a playscape and
Okay.
being in the world of Bricks and Recs, so we are aware of numbers to some extent, more than you are. So I respect that we'll put together something. But we have been living and breathing this for a couple of years now.
Doing a good job.
One last question. Is there any way you could do any of that, improvements to the work with volunteers or donations?
Not at this time. Our public works has already started to work on minor things, and we will continue to do so. We have no intention of removing the swing set, and that needs some fixes. EPW has already started making minor repairs, and they just keep breaking.
Okay.
So at this point, it's just like how many Band-Aids put on rusted equipment that needs to be.
All right, one more. In terms of the playscape, I understand that the ground cover, that's a tricky one because of the flooding. That's obviously even more of an issue just for use and everything else. Would we look at possibly putting up something smaller or just removing the playscape altogether, because we do have the nice new one at East Granby Farms? Just thinking of removing it and then making future plans versus trying to Band-Aid it.
Yes, so the goal, when we have these internal conversations, again, there's many different areas to go, but ideally we would remove what is there with the exception of the swing. And we would like something. I have 2 toddlers. Yep. We need something there, especially if we're taking advantage of any activities going down in that area. So we believe that there needs to be something. We believe it can be smaller, and it does not need to look like the playscape that is at Granby Farms, that is recently at the Y, that is at Annabrook, right? We are not going to recreate that. We envision and have looked into smaller structures that would still need some ground covering, but it would not be detrimental if that ground covering were to go away. So we have plans, and it is within a smaller budget to pull off something nice and unique to that space, while considering the ground issue. So you're thinking correct, yes.
Thank you.
All right. How about the Board of Ed side? Do we have any questions? I guess my only question would be looking at some of the lower prioritized items. you look at item, well, 11 will come off anyway, because it's really a bond. If you look at like number 10, number 9, number 8. So number 10 is flashing school zone signs at Seymour. Number 9 is theater stage lighting in the high school auditorium. And the main lobby tile is number 8. That's also in the high school. Any chance of grant money for any of those? Any problems if one or more of those showed up in the following year?
I think that in terms of grant money, there are very limited right now grants that are out for any type of education. So if, first of all, we don't get a lot of grant money because we're not a Title I or Alliance district. So private grants, but the larger grants are also on right now. You also know, and Mary can help speak to this, that we have a few grants, or there was a grant at some point that was applied for, and we're still working through those things that were in that grant. We actually didn't get that money, so there was a list together. And I think some of these things might have been on them, at least some of the HVAC stuff that it happened. So yeah, so that's a good question. But right now, there isn't grant money for that. That comes from state or government.
We're still waiting on the flashing school zone signs to see. We pay for
Right.
state road, and we still cannot get an answer for that.
Right, and actually we have a site visit, it was planned for tomorrow, but it had to be moved to also look at another way out of Seymour School. So we have the state, and we're coming together to look at that. So at that point, I'm going to be pushing again for the answer about the sign, because everybody will be there in person.
Okay.
So hopefully we get that.
Is there any ARPA money left that we can use for any of these items?
No, we had to name it all by the end of 2020 last year.
You'll see at the bottom of the second page that we sum sort of the rankings, so to give you an idea of, because we ranked everything.
Yeah.
The really high priority ones are, I think, 1 through 5.
All right, so what we could do is, so back to the capital plan, we're about 140,000. I get a number, make sure I get an exact number. I'm sorry, we're about 150,000 north of the policy guideline. If we take it as is. Next year, we're showing about an $80,000 below. I hate to spend next year's money, but we could move 80,000 into next year, and then, designate 60,000. Probably would move that as well into next year, but we might not have. Any thoughts anybody has?
Can you unmute Lisa? I think she has something to say.
Sorry.
Hey, thank you. Hi, everybody. You might want to take a look at what we've gotten for interest year to date. Your budget was only 20,000. We're already at 21 for the year for the capital fund.
We could end up getting 40,000.
If you're already at 21,000 3 months in.
Yeah, it could be an extra 60, but yeah.
I mean, you can't bank on it, but if you're looking to get some money per that conversation, just something to consider.
So if we just fund it, the whole amount, we're knocking our balance down. Where do you see that going, number wise? I didn't add up the overage from our plan, so.
Yeah, if we pay for everything, we overshoot the
or at least
policy budget
tentatively final.
50,000. Right. I guess my thought would be I'd be willing to maybe split the baby here, maybe move half of that, maybe 75,000 or so, move it into next year. The other, let's leave it in this year, and then we can watch and see what happens with close accounts and interest. By leaving it in, doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right? We still have, at the point in time where the thing comes, we look at what's coming for us and what our affordability is. But I think that
we're also asking for priorities now.
Yeah. Right. Things can change. So, if the board would like, we can do that. We don't have to do it manually. We can approve this next month. We can put forward and what I would like some help with is which 75 or 80,000 goes to next year.
Well, so just a question, like tasers, there's no funding available? Well, you took it out anyway, so.
We're using the non-lapsing fund for
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
You guys quote other makers of cruisers, Ford versus Chevy
We get
or Dodge?
good pricing with who the state recommends, MHQ. It's where they do the ordering from, so it's really the best pricing.
when do you anticipate buying the dump truck? Is that something you've been actively bidding right now?
Yeah, he wanted that number 2. I mean, it's hard to pick
Oh, I know.
safety items and public safety items over other things. It's, I guess, something he needed.
It's a pretty spare list.
Yeah.
But is that something they plan on using this winter? They're going to be coming to us in the next month? Because the reason I'm asking is because if you roll that into next year for now, that gets you where you want to be. That's one item. And if you don't spend the other money, it's still, I guess my point is, were they anticipating buying that next month or in the summer? Because then when next July, we're in the next fiscal year, right? Or if it's even close to that and we can see, I'm just looking for an easy solution, rather than try to.
Yeah, which item are you
To
talking
piggyback on that,
The dump truck,
are we going to be
One-ton
retiring another dump truck to replace this one? And is there residual value that we could use to bring down that cost? So could we sell?
yeah, he does sell vehicles all the time. The money does go back to the general fund. So
could we get an estimated value for that, an offset? Jeff, is that something that we?
That's tough to do.
Well, I mean,
Something.
eventually we could. I guess we're just trying to set a plan here.
Yeah.
I would be okay with moving the dump truck. Everybody knows the place we're in, right? We're still going to be evaluating these things, and if the dump truck comes forward, we may have to trade something else off at that time. Anybody have any questions or?
One last question. What's the EDC smart board? The EOC.
that's emergency operations. So it would be replacing this one.
Oh, so they use that in an emergency. That's
Yeah.
how they function.
I
Okay.
mean, this one would be nice to have replaced so we could actually use
I
it.
wasn't close enough with my glasses. At first, I thought it said EDC smart.
Oh, no, EOC, yeah.
EOC. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to keep harping on the tasers and the SUV, but if you flip them and pay with the SUV with the non-lapsing fund, then that's a quick 40 of savings too.
Bob, you had something?
Jeff, yeah, a thought Suzanne was talking to me. Under Seymour School, we have 40,000 for the playground erosion. Similar things were part of records. Maybe we could dovetail those together and get a better price, even though we're both built separately. Maybe we could do those projects together.
So I think there's some anticipation of some savings somewhere. This is just a blueprint, right? I mean, like I said, it'd be helpful if you brought that forward and she brought hers forward. It kind of allows for some that's your jobs, and I know I'm trying to.
We used to be able to do the municipal grants and aids for vehicles, for road vehicles, but they're, or any kind of public works vehicles, but they don't allow us to do that anymore.
What about the town aid road? They don't let you use that for any of these plans?
Town aid road is for road, but municipal grants and aid, which is road aid also, they don't let you do that anymore, do the waiver.
We used to use that for almost everything.
Yeah, that's why they made us stop.
Yeah.
All towns.
So the other thing we can do is not specify and just put negative 75,000 and just say that's our challenge.
Right, this is just, yeah, you're supposed, but you have to approve something as a blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's our blueprint, and we don't know where the 75,000 is coming from, but we either have to have 75,000 in revenue or we're not gonna be able to do all this stuff.
Just to go back to your point about the Parks and Rec fund,
That works for me.
was that vote, I know it went to a town vote, was that piggybacked with another budgetary vote as well?
It was a one item meeting.
Okay.
So you want to move on with this?
So I think what we're talking about here is not choosing a victim. We've all talked about what some are. Maybe, like Todd mentioned, maybe we use the police fund to play for the cruiser and we throw the taser into the capital plan. There's 40,000. There's a couple of things out there. What we show is everything requested. We show negative 75,000. Don't know where it's going to come from, and where that leaves us against our plan or against our policy is about 75,000 short under that for this year and about spot on for next year and then a little bit higher a couple years after. So, I mean, there's obviously, you don't know what next year is going to bring. The Board of Ed's kind of low next year. Town's lower next year. So, but I'd be okay with that because we make those decisions as the actual requests come. So, do we want a motion on that, or do we want to think about it differently?
If you want to word the motion the way you're thinking, I'm more than willing.
So the motion would probably be a motion to approve capital plan as presented with a unspecified $75,000 savings still needed.
For fiscal year 25, basically. I'll make that motion. Thanks.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion about that? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstention? All right, you have a capital plan. I'll get it around everybody. Review open capital accounts. We should have done this first. Review open capital accounts. So on the treasurer's report, I asked if folks could look at the capital accounts that have been around for a while and see if we're close to closing any of them. That's just helpful as we go through. That were folks able to do that? I didn't see any.
For what?
Closing accounts. Did you do that?
I thought we did that already.
You did?
Oh.
It depends on the department, right? I mean, if it's a building committee or board of selectmen or board of ed,
Yeah.
they close it out. But we could ask them about it.
Yeah. What I meant to do was ask about.
I thought, okay, I apologize for being confused. I said I brought that at one meeting, but early on. And I thought we did it already.
You did quite a few.
Yeah.
Can we unmute Kelly? She wants to say something.
Oh, sorry, Kelly.
Prudent.
There we go.
Hi, thank you. So typically, Jeff, we only usually do this in June because it does have to go to town meeting. So I didn't know if you're looking to do a motion to do it or you're just trying to get information as to, what might be coming back.
Just trying to get information as to what might be coming back.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
And
Doing our due diligence.
We can cover this at the next meeting, but so I'm looking at
If you go through some you have in question, I can probably answer.
Give me a second. So like the school operating system upgrade,
You can close that.
okay. Thank you.
Can't even buy a coffee.
Yeah, the applicant.
Oh, yes. 264.
The revaluation, we funded 50,000, there's $200 left.
Yeah, so that can close.
Um, That I already know is gonna close.
This is no 10-year-old ones on here anymore, Jeff.
Yeah. All right, those are the only two I would have had questions on anyway. So we made $203 tonight.
$100 in free.
That'll pay for the tasers, battery chargers.
Think I'm good. Consider an act on capital plan. We just did that. Okay. Takes us to monthly reports. All right, so we got financials from everywhere. So I guess, Lisa, we haven't heard from you in a while. So if anything you want to share about the government financials?
No, it's just more on the format. I kept them status quo, only variance of $614. We had a sway in two different items. Our auditors requested that we do an audit on our capital items, and that cost about $9,400. But right now, it's just too early in the year to make any predictions, so I just kept it right in line. Revenue is already at over 50,000 higher, so I do expect to see a nice jump in revenue, but that's irrelevant for the general government expenses. So right now, I'm going to keep it flat.
Any questions for Lisa?
There's nothing you flag at this time, in other words.
Correct, just that one audit expense of $9,400. You'll see the audit expenses higher.
Are we still down a police officer?
We budgeted for 8 police officers, and one is actually out on workers' comp. So what happens is the police office payroll is down, but overtime is up.
Walking around town. All right. Well, he's banging in posts. Can't they bring him in to do paperwork? Anyway, I'll say it. Yeah, so that other than
many names, right?
We're fully funded at that level.
Yes, so the payroll line item is down, but you see the overtime is a lot higher too. It offsets each other.
So it's costing us overtime because we're down a guy.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Lisa? All right. We'll just do one motion, I guess, on all the reports when we get there. Let's go to Board of Ed. Mary, anything you want to?
Sure, I'll just talk about the September one, the July and August.
Yeah, just go to the latest one, yeah.
So most of our conferences are in, so trying to get the rest in. And just note that line item 330, that one is going to be over budget. Remember this year we did our budget net of excess cost. So that's going to show over budget till the excess cost money comes in.
Okay.
So other than that, it's really kind of who's going to tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that you can see that is definitely.
Yeah. Okay, but we know what the excess cost is supposed to be, so.
Well, no, we're hoping.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Already started it. We'll know more as we go.
Yeah.
We'll anticipate receiving excess costs this year. Like we did.
Okay.
They'll start.
All right. Any questions from Mary?
How's special ed tracking this year? I mean, I know it's really early, but I know that's been an issue in the past. Is that?
It's tracking. The tax time.
Okay.
But again, after you get 4.5 times per pupil, because they go for excess.
Right.
66% of the overages of 4.5 times. So it's still a lot. You have to be way over in order to get any extra cost, and we give you the 60.
You don't want to spend 4.5 to get back $1.
Yeah. 66 cents.
60. Thank you.
Any other questions from Mary?
Any new enrollments from the new developments? Increased?
Not so far as, we have, no.
I mean, I think that there might be one or two that have come in, but not yet.
All right, we'll go to the treasurer. Oh,
All right, to follow up on that, that's net new enrollments you're saying based on the apartments.
Yes.
Because,
They're not.
right,
Yeah.
well, my understanding is not just, I'm wondering how we're tracking it all together, because it's not just new people moving into the apartments, new to town. There are people who are moving out of their houses in town into the apartments, and then the new families are moving into houses.
Right.
So, I'd be curious if we can get some clarity around that as well, because it's not just there's 3 new kids in town due to the apartments. I know of at least 5 or 6 kids that that have been historical residents that are in the apartments, and their houses are now housing additional children. So that could be an 8 pupil swing versus 2 or 3.
On the meeting on Monday, we're going to be going through our student achievements, so our performance, our academics, and things like that. And there will be updated enrollment numbers. I just was getting them in today.
Okay.
One of the things to keep in mind is that actually our as we strategic plan, which has started at the posters, comes to the community sessions, we are recognizing the fact that one of the things is that we don't have a lot of space. So we cap our classes by choice, right? Especially at the pre-K to 5, at 21 students, right? Which is incredibly low enough value to our residents. As we get more students enrolling, which is why we're keeping a close eye on it, and I want to get the updated numbers for everyone as soon as possible, is that we actually then start to have to lift those class sizes. And so it's something that we're speaking about with the entire community to see on both ends of the spectrum, our buildings and our high school, losing some kids to agri-science. So we have a lot of really interesting data coming out to share. So if you're tuning into our riveting meeting on Monday, you will see updated second slide 2. Steve's pulling it right now. So, and I think we had already talked even about residency, like understanding which of these enrolled students are here because they live here in East Granby, which of the enrolled students are coming to us as all types of students.
So you're updating actuals or expectations?
No, I'm doing actuals, but I have expectations that we'll be sharing.
Yeah, okay.
Based on the demographic reports that were done. So part of all of the work that we're doing, the board, myself, the teams, and the community, the students, is really coming together to give the town everything, all of the data that you will need to make any types of decisions about where we go in the future. And all of that will be compiled by January. So everything's on a very specific timeline.
And will you have information on like school choice and all that stuff? Because I know school choice is a revenue for us, but it's also a lever we can use to keep the student class sizes smaller. So,
Unfortunately, only at the lower end.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's right, and also remember that with school choice, so it's wonderful. A lot of our students from East Granby and also school choice students are actually showing up, as we just spoke about, with more and more needs, right?
Yep.
And so what happens then is that then the cost goes up. So but all of that will be clear, and we'll be able to answer your questions very specifically.
Are they still funding the school choice with like grants for academic enrichment like they were doing that you can kind of use for all the students?
About $600.
Yeah, that's it.
Academic grants, $3,600, and the enhancement, $3,600. That's really it.
okay. Any other questions, Board of Ed? We'll go to the treasurer's report. Kelly, anything you want to point out in the treasurer's report?
So I do apologize because I do not have that in front of me. I was not able to grab it. So I don't know if there's any questions, but the only difference was per your request. I have included the police fund and different outlook of the ARPA fund, so you can see the remaining projects that are left, as we had discussed previously. So, and I know, Todd, you had a question about the police fund. Some of those supplies are for the vehicles, like oil filters and such, and the contract services is, I believe it's mostly like for a payroll system that they're implementing because their payroll is very complex. So it's something they're using internally as part of, I think it's part of their accreditation as well that they're looking to receive.
Yeah, it's called DTS software. It's for police detail and overtime.
Yeah, it looked just like operating expenses from when I'm just looking at the report right now. So I was just wondering why it wasn't operating. They're using the police reserve fund for that.
That was kind of the spirit.
That was the setup.
It was kind of the spirit of the fund was so they didn't have to come when we discussed it, so they didn't have to come to get the Board of Selectmen to approve these small maintenance purchases. I think that was my understanding. I don't know about you guys, but that we were setting it up so they didn't have to call every time they needed an oil filter or whatever. I'm just making that up. But
Yeah, we've drastically reduced the police budget for repairs and maintenance for that reason for the past 2 years.
Right.
I don't trust my memory. I'd have to look up what we did, but
that was my understanding.
Yeah, I thought it was more for like the bigger capital, but I mean, I guess we have different interpretations, or it could be some of both, you know?
I think that was it, Todd. That was my understanding when I voted for it. Because I remember the trooper was explaining that there were certain things that they needed they couldn't get, and they were trying to bother the Board of Selectmen or somebody to approve it when it was a small item. It kind of gives, anyway.
do we approve that in June?
Last year, right?
Yeah, town meeting.
Creation of the police fund where it can't exceed 100,000.
In June. Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions for Kelly? All right. Hearing none, I guess is there a motion to accept the Board of Ed, General Government, and Treasurer's Report as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
For a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Carried. Public comment? Is there any public comment? Anybody on Zoom? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 8:24 p.m.